Dr. Holly Phillips is an internist who's been in private practice for 12 years. So what is her patient's #1 health challenge? Fatigue. Take a look.
We're constantly busy, balancing family, work, and other activities. While many of us complain about being wiped out, we tend to accept it as a normal part of our lives. Dr. Holly Phillips is a medical contributor for CBS News and struggled with chronic fatigue for more than 20 years. She believes we don't have to keep running on empty. Holly shares a fatigue-beating challenge in her book, The Exhaustion Breakthrough. She'll help you see improvements in 7 days.
Please welcome to the 700 Club, Dr. Holly Phillips. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know what you're talking about, not just because you're a doctor, but because you suffered from fatigue for 20 years.
That's right. I was tired for 20 years straight. And getting to the bottom of what was causing my fatigue and getting on the road to recovery wasn't easy. And so that was part of the inspiration for my book. The other part was just that fatigue is the #1 health challenge I see in my practice, particularly for women and even just moms that I'm around. I have two young daughters, and at school drop-off, our conversations sound like this with other mothers. How are you today? Fatigued. How about you? How are you today? I'm wiped out, but otherwise fine.
And so, you know, Holly, the thing is, being fatigued like that, where your body just doesn't have anything left to give, can cause other problems to develop.
Absolutely. You know, it's sort of a two-way street. On one hand, fatigue itself can lead to medical conditions. On the other hand, many hidden medical conditions can be a cause of fatigue. So really what I did was after battling fatigue and finally winning that battle, I put together my book, The Exhaustion Breakthrough, which highlights a number of common but commonly overlooked hidden causes of fatigue. Things like medical illnesses to simple lifestyle changes we can all make to feel better.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, before we go into those, is there a difference between just being tired and being truly fatigued?
Very much so. So tiredness is a natural response our body should have, right? After you've had a long day or after exertion. If you go out and you jog 6 miles, you should feel tired. If you don't, you know, that's good for you. But the fatigue and exhaustion that I talk about in the book is more chronic, it's more debilitating, and it's a whole body experience. It's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and far too many people are suffering from it on a regular basis.
You mentioned that this seems to plague women more than men. Why?
You know, it does. In fact, some of the research that I cite in the book shows that women experience chronic and debilitating fatigue at least twice as much as men. There are a number of reasons for that. You know, women do arguably have multiple stressors. Even if both, for instance, a husband and wife work outside of the home, the wife will take on more child care duties and house care duties. Also, women have more trouble with sleep, getting restful sleep. There are a number of causes, even including hidden medical conditions, that are more likely to affect women.
You have developed, as you write about in your book, a 7-day exhaustion breakthrough plan. Talk about that. Everybody'd like to hear it.
Well, you know, in my own battle with fatigue, I did finally uncover a couple of hidden medical conditions that were draining my energy. Treating those helped some, but what made the biggest difference for me was tweaking very small daily lifestyle factors that I could use to boost my energy. So for a 7-day period, I give 8 different tips on things you can change just to try out to help to get to the bottom of what your personal energy drains are. So for example, one of them is to, what I say, create a to-don't list. When your to-do list gets too big, you ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, can I delegate something on my list to someone else? Number 2, can this task be made a little easier? And number 3, does it have to be done at all? Yeah.
I like number 3.
Yeah, so do I. And you can start to whittle down that to-do list just actually to relieve stress more than anything else.
Yeah. You know, I wonder also with women how much hormones play a part in that, because women are pregnant, bearing children, raising children, that nurturing thing that's in a mom is just makes her days exhausting.
Sure.
How much does that play a role, and what do you do about that?
It plays a big role. You know, in fact, hormonal fluctuations are one of the kind of hidden medical conditions that I talk about a lot in the book. And women have sort of 3 different times when we experience big fluctuations. Of course, there's the monthly cycles, and if you've ever had PMS, you know you might have trouble sleeping. Your energy levels get disrupted. Certainly, pregnancy is its own thing, right? You really experience extreme energy drops. Some people experience more energy. And then peri and premenopause also bring times where it's difficult to sleep. I think one of the biggest things that I have in the book is what I call a symptom checklist. Because when you go to the doctor and you say you're tired, honestly, every medical condition can cause fatigue. So your doctor might not even know where to start. If you have a symptom checklist and you write down specifically what's bothering you, that can help to direct your care, make it a little bit more focused and effective.
Yeah. I'm wondering how much what we eat has to do with all of this?
What we eat plays a tremendous role. I don't recommend an extremely restrictive diet in any way, but especially during the 7-day challenge, I say focus on foods that are real. What I mean by that is foods that don't have an ingredients list, right? So for instance, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, you might not see an ingredients list on those. But if you are going to have something that has an ingredients list, make sure none of the ingredients end in OSE, O-S-E. Glucose, sucrose, fructose, high fructose corn syrup. There are a zillion different OSE ending sugars, but that's like taking your energy and just putting it down the drain.
And sometimes it can make you feel like you get that spike, but the drop after that is epic.
Absolutely. You know, so you get a peak, which is short, but the trough itself is so much more profound. I give an alternative to that in the book. Just walk 10 minutes. What was interesting is that when you look at people who have a sweet treat or caffeine, they might feel better 20 minutes later. The person that took a 10-minute walk feels better 2 hours later. You get a much more lasting boost.
You've got a number of great tips for jump-starting energy, and I found some of them so fascinating. I am a light person. If I am not in light, I really feel the loss of that. If there's a whole week of rain, I feel my energy going down.
Absolutely.
And that was one of your tips, was to...
It really is. It's to expose yourself to light. Light plays such a critical role as an environmental cue to our body to know when we're supposed to be awake and when we're supposed to calm down and actually start to feel naturally tired. Many of us work in settings where there are no windows and we're not exposed to natural light. So I suggest at least trying to get by a window or even to step outside for 5 minutes every hour, just to make sure our brain knows what time of day it is and give a little boost.
They say we're supposed to step away from our computers like that anyway.
Very much so.
We are only just touching the tip of the iceberg here, but I want you to know you can read about all the causes of fatigue, and maybe more significantly, more tips for boosting your energy is all in Holly's book. It's called The Exhaustion Breakthrough. It's available nationwide wherever books are sold. Thank you so much. This is such a significant topic for so many.
I so appreciate you having me on.
Nice to have you here.